Well, hey there, sugar. You come on in now. Take your boots off and have a seat. I saved the coziest chair just for you. Let Granny pour you a cup of tea. This one's delicate, got a flavor like memory and mystery, a story steeped in love, loss, and the strange ways time loops back around. Now hush your voice and open your heart and keep one ear to the past, because it's time for Granny B's story, where the end ain't always the end, and sometimes the soul finds its way back home again. My daddy's name was Charles, but nobody called him that. To all of us, family, friends, co-workers, even the mailman, he was always Charlie. Charlie with a Y. That man had hands like cedar bark and a voice like warm molasses. Worked with trains back in the day, Southern Pacific Railroad, right down in the switching yards, before he met my mama and gave up the tracks for a quieter life. He passed one cold January day, the kind where the trees cracked under frost and even the birds didn't bother singing. He'd been sick for a long time, and when he passed, it was like the world exhaled, slow and sad. Just 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant with my first son. We named him Richard, but I always called him Rick. Bright-eyed from the start, and baby, I swear to you, he looked just like my daddy when he furrowed that brow. Had the wise, subtle way about him, even when he was barely old enough to crawl. Time passed like it does. Rick turned 5, a curious age, that sweet spot between wonder and wisdom, the kind where children say things that don't always sound like they come from children. One Friday afternoon, I loaded him up in the car and we headed up to Mama's house for the weekend. That's a 2-hour drive, give or take a snack stop and a bathroom break. About halfway there, we crossed an overpass. Beneath it, wide, was the Southern Pacific switching yard, mostly quiet these days, but still breathing. As we drove over, Rick pressed his little hand against the window and said, "Look, Mom, that's where I used to work. They called me Charles down there." I nearly swerved. I laughed, that nervous kind of laugh. I said, "What now, baby?" He just nodded real sure. The trains were loud, but I liked them. I was good at fixing them tracks. I went quiet. I didn't say much the rest of the way. Just smiled and nodded and let him chatter like kids do. But when we got to Mama's house, Rick ran right into her arms and said, "Grandma, I saw where I used to work." She chuckled at first, but he kept going. Down by the tracks, the trains, you remember? I was Charles. She froze. Her arms just dropped, her eyes went wide, and then the tears came, heavy and quiet. She looked at me like she was seeing something she thought she would never see again. Later that night, after Rick had gone to bed, she sat with me at the kitchen table, hands trembling over a chip mug of peppermint tea, and she whispered, "Before I married your father, he worked for the Southern Pacific, in that very yard. Used to bring me flowers wrapped in switchyard timetables." And then she added, he always said he'd come back if he could. Now, I ain't saying I know exactly how the world works. I've lived too long and seen too much to believe every odd thing. But sugar, I've also seen too much to laugh anything off. Rick never mentioned the railroad again. Never talked about being Charles. It was like the moment passed through him like wind through a curtain. But he still furrows his brow like my daddy. He still hates hot coffee, says it tastes like coal smoke. And every time we pass that old switch yard, I swear I catch him looking out the window just a little longer than he should. Well, now, wasn't that a gentle kind of strange? Some say the soul moves on, some say it circles back, and some of us just feel it in our bones when someone comes home. Thank you for coming by and sitting with me tonight. The tea's grown cold, but the story's still warm, ain't it? I'll have the kettle on for you next time, and another tale to tell you. Till then, sugar, keep your heart open, your eyes kind, and your spirit ready. Because sometimes the past just don't stay buried.